How many of you have heard of that before? Okay, so about half of you. Okay, for a data value, the deviation from the mean measures the signed distance from the mean to each data value. Okay, and that'll make more sense in a minute when we're actually doing a problem. Okay, for a data value, the deviation from the mean measures the distance from the mean to the data value. Each deviation is calculated by subtracting the mean from that data value. Okay, so basically that's data value minus the mean. Okay, so whenever the question asks you to find the deviation from the mean, you just do the data value minus the mean. The mean absolute deviation is then found by adding the absolute values of the deviations and dividing the sum by that number of data values. All they mean right there is once you're ready to find the mean absolute deviation, you just average all your deviations. See? Add them up, divide by how many there are. That's just averaging. Two ways to measure dispersion are range and deviation from the mean. Okay, let's do an actual example now. Alright, they've given us the number of points scored in a basketball game by players who played for 30 minutes or more. So like, player number 1 scored 24 points, player number 2 scored 15, and so on. Okay, there's 5 players and their data here. First, they want us to find the deviations from the mean. Well, to find the deviations from the mean, what do you kind of have to know first? The mean. Okay, so quickly take those 5 data values and find the mean of them. Okay, what did you get for the mean of these 5 data values? 12? I think it's just 12. It doesn't have a little typo or whatever. Okay, now they want us to find the deviations from the mean. Well, remember to do the deviation, you just do the data value minus the mean. What is the first data value they gave us? Okay, so to find the deviations from the mean, you do the data value minus the mean. What is our first data value? 24. So if we subtract the mean from that, we get a 12, right? Okay, so the next deviation would be 15 minus 12, so 3. Then our next deviation would be 10 minus 12, which is negative 2. And then 8 minus 12 is, and 3 minus 12 is negative 9. Okay, so that's how you find the deviations from the mean. You just take each of your data values that were given and subtract the mean from them. Okay, now we're on page 10. Okay, the next thing they want you to do is find the mean absolute deviation, the MAD. Well, there's a key word in there, a hint for you, absolute. What happens when you take the absolute value of a number? It is the distance from 0. So like, what is the absolute value of 12? 12. What's the absolute value of negative 12? 12. Because whether you go to the right 12 units on a number line or to the left to negative 12, aren't they both 12 units away from 0? And absolute value is the distance from 0. So that's why they're both positive. Because you can't have a negative distance. Nobody can say, I traveled negative 5 miles. Okay? You just don't have it. So, what we need to do is do the absolute value of each of our deviations. So essentially what that means is those two remain the same, and these 3 numbers just become positive. Okay, so now that we have found the absolute values of our deviations, these are our deviations, the only thing left to do to complete MAD is the mean one more time. Now you're just going to find the mean of those 5 data values. Okay, what'd you get? Right. that we know that the mean absolute deviation is 6 points, determine the number of players who scored within one mean absolute deviation of the mean. So within 6 points of the average. Did this player score within 6 points of the average? No, he was 12 points away from the average, right? He was well above average. He scored 12 points above the average. What about this guy? 15 points within 6 of the average 12? Yeah, how many points is that away from the mean? 3, so that's within 6 points. What about this guy? Okay, so let me mark out them. This one's good. What about this guy? Yes. What about this guy? And what about this guy? No, he was 9 points away from the mean. We need him to be 6 points or less to be within one mean absolute deviation of the mean. So only 3 of our players scored within one mean absolute deviation of the mean. Because only 3 of those players were 6 points or less from the mean of all of them. Okay, go ahead and flip to the next page. Okay, number 1 says the distance from the mean to each point, or you could call that data value, whatever. The distance from the mean to the data values is called the what? The deviation from the mean. Remember, when you're just finding the distance from each of your data items to your mean, that's just the deviation from the mean. Now, when you take the mean of those distances, what is it now called? The mean absolute deviation. Right. The deviations are just when you subtract each of your data items minus the mean. But when you then take that list and do the mean of those, that's mean absolute deviation. Okay, now let's try this new data. This is the average winning race speed in the last 12 years in miles per hour. So like 1 year, the average winning race speed was 132 miles per hour. The next year was 141 miles per hour, and so on. Number 3 says, what is the mean speed in the list of average race speeds? So what is that question asking you to do? Find the average of those data items. So go ahead and do that. Okay, so the next thing would have been 146 minus the mean of 155. And what did you get for that one? -9. Then 149 minus 155. Right. Okay, then this one is -4. Right. Okay, all you do to find the deviations from the mean is do each data value in your list minus the mean once you found it. Okay, now number 5, we're ready to finish it out and find the mean absolute deviation. And it kind of just spells it out for you what all you have to do. You have to find the absolute value of the deviation. So what does that mean? Right, you make them all positive. Anything that was negative is going to become positive. Because when you do the absolute value of the number, it's positive. So, first thing you do is just look at your deviation list you just created and just change them all to positive. Then, the only thing left is the mean. You find the mean once more now of all those positive numbers. Think about it. The numbers range from a 1 to a 23. Your average always has to be a value somewhere between there. Okay? Your average will always be in between your lowest and your highest number. So that definitely bears out B. But then 1 and 4 are in between those, but aren't 1 and 4 both kind of low when you have a lot of bigger numbers? I mean, think about it. If these were like considered test scores, would you think that with these test scores you would have a 1 average on your grade? No, or a 4. It would definitely be higher with some of these higher scores. Okay, number 6. How many of the racers in this group scored within one mean absolute deviation of the mean? Right, 6. Let's talk about mine. One mean absolute deviation of the mean is 11.4 miles per hour. Well, that's not within that. That's not within 11.4. 9 is within 0 to 11.4. So is 6, so is 4, so is 1, so is 7, and so is 11. Put those on. So that gives us 6 racers that scored within 11.4 miles per hour, so they're within 1 mad of the mean. So does 22.8 represent as it relates to this list of values? Two mean deviations. Isn't 22.8 just 11.4 double? So that would be two mean deviations. So if you were trying to find three mean deviations, what would you do? Add 11.4 to that, or just triple 11.4, right? Okay, so now that we know that two mean absolute deviations from the mean is 22.8, how many of these racers were within that? 9 out of 10. Only this guy was not, because he was way below average. Okay, now turn to the next page. I want you to work on this page completely by yourself for a few minutes. Okay, so make sure you're working because we're going to do something with it in a minute. So make sure you're working on this page completely by yourself. 0 and 20. Okay, anytime you take an average, the number has to be somewhere between your smallest and your largest number, and those are not. But when you actually add them all up and divide by 10, you get 9.8. Okay? Alright, now I want you to try number 10. Put in your device what you put on your paper, A, B, C, or D. Okay, the correct answer was C. Okay, remember to find the deviations, all you're doing is taking each of the data items and subtracting the mean. So like 20 minus 9.8 is 10.2. 18 minus 9.8 is 8.2. Okay, so C is correct. Alright, now put in your answer that you got for number 11, the mad of the whole problem. Okay, the correct answer is D, 5.24. Keep in mind, guys, to find the mad, you have to do the absolute value of the deviations, which meant go to your list, change all the negatives to positives, and then anytime you're finding the mean, the average of data, it has to be between the lowest and the largest number. So you know your answer has to be between 0.2 and 10.2. Well, that is nowhere near those numbers, and neither is that. So it has to have been B or D. Okay? Alright, number 12. Put in what you got for number 12. be checked, so make sure you do it. It's only 6 total problems, but they can be done with a calculator on your phone. Okay, so even if you don't have a calculator at home, you should be fine doing page 13 this weekend. You can go ahead and do your phone and put up your calculator.